All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm excited to have you here today, and I hope you're doing well. Today, we're going to be talking about trying harder. The topic of confidence, trying harder won't make you confident. And I'm sure some of you have felt that before. Sometimes we try to do all the right things and just nothing seems to go right. So, we're going to definitely be addressing that. Let me know, let me make sure if you can't see the screen, go ahead and let me know, please. All right, so before we get started with that, who is this for? So, and by the way, I'm Karen Treaster, and I'll be talking just a little bit more about me in a minute. So, who is this for? This is for women. I work with a lot of women. I do work with men, but mostly, so it's women in business. It could be, you could have your own business, you could be self-employed, you could be, you could be working from your house. It doesn't matter. And so anybody really can have a lack of confidence. I like to work with business people. I like to work with women. I work with a lot of women in transition. So maybe you want something more. Maybe you know that you want to change jobs, or you just are ready for something different. Or maybe you're just going through another phase in life. Maybe you're retired. And so I work with a lot of women who are going through transitions. And I work with moms. So you could have kids at home and you're just ready to go back to work, ready to do something, even if it's part-time. And then a lot of women, they may have a job, a job that they really don't like, and they may want to expand into something else to find something that they love. And that's what I love to help women with as well, is to find that thing that you really, really love. So we've got a lot of moms I work with, and then also I love working with faith-based women. And because really I believe in God. I think that God is where we turn, and we're not alone in this. And when we partner with God, which I like to do in my business, then I think everybody flourishes when they do. And so it's about anyone looking for someone that knows they have a calling. And sometimes that's hard to know because that connection can be off with your higher self, with God. And so I love to help women to make that connection because that's so important, finding that out. So, someone with a calling to be, do, or have more. So, you wouldn't be here if you knew there wasn't something more for you. Could be big or small, doesn't matter. So, that's who I work with. And then, so let me ask you a simple question. And I want you to, if you can, drop it in the chat or just think about this. Let me move this little bar here. In order to have more confidence, I need to be courageous, take action, be decisive. All very important stuff. Stop comparing myself, right? These are all really key things. So if people were doing that, if people were out and they were doing very courageous things, and 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 they were taking a lot of action, and they were being really decisive, and they stopped comparing themselves, because comparing yourself is really a killer. because honestly, there's nobody to compare to. It Whoever you're looking at is probably done more than you. Maybe you're looking at somebody traveling, and it doesn't matter. Maybe they're going to these places, and a lot of times people just put things too on social media. And what does it do when you end up looking online and seeing somebody like that? It pulls you down, doesn't it? It drops your self-esteem and your confidence. Now, here's the thing. Even if, while this all may be true, if you were doing those things, I have a question. Why do people who are doing these things still have self-doubt? Can you see that? Okay, so if you are out, let me share a little story with me. So I ended up in, let's see, let me take my track. If you're really good at something, you would think that that would give you a lot of confidence too, right? And so I know that I was really good in track, and I had all kinds of trophies and things like that. And that didn't give me confidence. Anybody else? Can you relate to that? I know I used to model. I modeled in my 20s. And I worked all over the country. I worked in Japan. I did a commercial for Nissan on the base of Mount Fuji. I worked for Shiseido there. I've done a lot of commercials, print. Wouldn't you think that I would have confidence? Why is that? I want you to think about that. Why did I still have so much self-doubt? And so let me go ahead and just check in here. Whoops, let me turn this off first. Let me just check to see. So, okay, so let me bring it back to this. And another thing is I took a lot of action. So we could say that courageous people have a lot of confidence, and they can have confidence. I'm not saying that you don't gain any confidence from any of these things and making decisions. You do. And so I did all these things, and then I had businesses that I ran. I was a personal trainer, and I taught water aerobics. I had a nutrition business. I spearheaded a huge organization. And then when I got into this business, I also have done summits before. I'm only saying this because these are courageous actions that I took, yet I still had self-doubt. And I did a summit. So I hosted a summit. On one of the summits, I interviewed and recorded 21 people. And then I had put it online. So why is it? Does anybody know? Why do you think that you still have self-doubt? You can go ahead and put it in the chat if you want. So, all right. So here's the reason. Because you do have confidence. Don't get me wrong. That is external confidence. So you can build external confidence, but what is missing is that inner confidence, that worthiness. who you really are, that authenticity, that connection. That's what's missing. And so that's something that I love to work with women because it takes time and it takes consistency to, I say, build it however you already have it within you. It helps to have accountability and to build that because literally think about what you can do in your life if you had both. If you had, right? So it's all all the sums of everything equal the whole to make you who you really are, that self-confident, uh, decisive person that feels good and doesn't get into a low vibration, a low energy place when things go wrong. So it's about handling things too. So hope this is making sense. So I want to ask you here, how many of you feel like it feels like you should be further along in your path right now? You ever feel like that? That you keep doing all these things and you just feel like there should be something more. Or you're here because you know that the timing's right and you can feel it. You can sense that. Intuition is everything. I say everything, but it's so important. And so when you get a nudge like that, that's something you want to act on. Maybe you've tried everything and you still aren't getting the results you want, or maybe you're close to everything coming together. You're so close. And you just need that right person to help you guide or coach you. Someone who has been there. So just drop a me if you can relate to something like that. All right. So let me just share about me for a minute, talk about me for a minute earlier in my life. So, as I said, I mentioned some of the things that I did, and I had a hard time making decisions. I had a very hard time. And I would, I think that that's one of the biggest deterrents that I had was that I, I could sometimes make really quick decisions, but I just didn't have the confidence. I mean, and you know, that's what it boils down to, is if you've got confidence, which I can now make a decision like that, because then you toil within, right? You're conflicted. And that gets to my second point, that I second guessed myself. And second guessing yourself is something that it's so hard to live with. And for those of you who are into the Bible, I just want to say that second guessing yourself, they talk about being double-minded. So what does that mean, being double-minded? So I'm just going to read the scripture in 1:8. It says a double-minded, so man or woman, we're going to say, is unstable in all ways. Someone whose loyalty is divided between faith and doubt, leading to conflict and instability in life. So that's what happens. You just, within, you are toiling. And it is about, you've probably heard me talk about your nervous system. When you can calm your nervous system, there's so many things that you can do to get close, to inner self to God, and and to who you really are, because your authentic self wouldn't be second guessing themselves. That's what I want to show you. And that's when you build that inner confidence, you don't have that anymore. And so, but I did until I didn't, until well, I'll talk about that in a minute, but, and then I didn't speak my mind. Anybody else feel like that? I think that started way back with well, I guess probably with my mom, who reprimanded me a lot. And when I spoke out, it wasn't pretty. And then I ended up marrying the same kind of guy, same way. And and so I really felt trapped. I felt trapped in my marriage. Not saying it was all horrible. I was married a very long time, but I did feel trapped because I couldn't be me. There's nothing worse than that. And if you can hear anything today, it's being who you are, being yourself. So, and then I compared myself to others, and that hurts. That jealousy really hurt. And what does it do? It lowers your vibration. You have low self-esteem. Then you're not productive, and and then your day is kind of rattled. And it's not, you're not doing it with ease. I talk about doing it with ease a lot, because when you're in alignment, which is what one of the things that we practice a lot, then it's not going to be tough. And so it was so freeing, I have to say, when I stopped comparing myself. Because when you have the feeling inside you that you already know you're enough, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And I know that's what we all want. And then I didn't want to impose on others. And then I look back and I think, oh my goodness, that wouldn't have been imposing at all. I mean, you see so many other people doing things, and it's like, it's really not. That comes from worthiness too. So I don't know who can relate to something like that. I was just checking to see. But that was me. And so my point is that I had to overcome this. And I had to go through a transformation. So what I discovered, my aha moment, was that I could control the way that I think by adopting the Confidence Ignited method that I have. When I started doing those things, I was like, oh my gosh, I have the control of my mind. I can actually make it stop thinking the negative things that I didn't want to, going down into the rabbit hole, and I had total control over it. And I had a clear mind. And it was ready for receiving. Have you ever felt like you're not getting the things that you want? Maybe it's money. You're not getting the money that you want. You're not getting the love that you want. You're not getting the friendship you want. You're not getting whatever it is. Whatever it is that you really want. You have to put yourself in a place of receiving. And so clearing your mind is important. And I know how tough it is these days, all the stuff that's going on. But that's a key thing, is that I stopped letting anything on the outside get in the way. I just stopped. And does it come up? Sure, for a second. And that's what I want to help others with. So I stopped comparing myself to others, which was great. And I started to look at life really through rosy glasses. Through rosy glasses. And what a difference. What a difference that was. My whole world changed when I did that. So, what I keep talking about the confidence ignited method. What that did for me is it really allowed me to take risks and to have the faith to do that. And it allowed me to mend relationships that I had because I was now forgiving. And even though we think we've forgiven everyone, I always find that there's someone that could be what's pulling you down that you haven't totally forgiven. And so it definitely did that. It gave me better health because when you feel good, you don't have that that toil within you, then you're going to be calmer. You're going to you're not going to put that added pressure and stress on your system. And so I got healthier and I had more wealth because I realized that I had control of that and that there were really more ways than just going out, working 9 to 5 and doing the same things over and over again to do that. And then travel when I want. It gave me that because I could have the money to do that. And I so for me, it's really important to travel. That's because my son lives in Germany and is married and has 3 little girls, all 5 and under. So I really want to be able to do that as often as I can. And then my family's in the Northeast. So, and I've got friends all over. But I love traveling anyway to different places. So, and then it allowed me to sleep peacefully at night. And again, when we have all that stuff, that noise going on in our head, it's a hard thing to do. It's a really hard thing to do, to sleep. So I'm sharing these just so you know what I did, so you can see what you can do. And so in the Confidence Ignited method, really it was about reframing the root of where the problem comes from. And that's something that I do specialize in, is finding out where, if you've got something going on, a trigger, say, that bothers you, where did that trigger come from? Where did the root of that come from? And so it's really just about reframing that. And so it doesn't bother you anymore. Imagine that, going around without anything bothering you, knowing that everything is okay. And that's what I really do want for people, for women especially. And it allowed me to follow a clear path. I talked about that. So I knew, because I got connected and I knew I could follow that. So a lot of times, sometimes just people just kind of need that to practice that, because a lot of times we say we're going to do it and then we just don't. I know that was me. And especially worse, if somebody's done it better than me already, it's always nice to hear from. And that's why I like to share this. And then elevate your energy. So your energy is everything. energy is everything too, because it is, that is what you attract. And even somewhere in the Bible, they talk about being in joy, being in feeling love, feeling peace, in those higher vibrations they talk about, and not in the lower ones. Because here's what happens when you're in the sadness or in the resentment or in the unforgiveness or in the anger, any of those places, it's going to feel restricted, constricted, right? It's like you can't do anything. The Confidence Ignited method gets you into the high vibration, the joy vibration, so it opens you up and you're able to do what you want. And then I had the professional support was very important, and accountability and support, because it takes that. If you want to better your life, there's so much to do in this lifetime. And I just figure, well, I don't want to go through it when everything is bothering me. I want to be able to get on top of that and just be the best that I can. And so that's one of the reasons that I developed this, actually. And it was a lot of the stuff that I had been through before. So I hope that you have gained something from this. Has this been valuable? I want you to think about that. And this was only an hour of just going over a few things. And by the way, next week I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to focus on peace, okay, a little bit more. So my question is, do you want to join me for 3 months so you can apply exactly what I did to change my life? And if that is you, when you're ready, then you're going to want to book a call, or even if you're not ready, you might want to book a call too. And you can take a screenshot of that. I'll put it out in an email as well. And just to have a conversation and see. So let me just check. Oh, and so now I promised that we would go into Q&A. So if you had any questions about the presentation or something that you want me to help you with. So, and that is a bonus for anybody who has stayed in here. And let me do one thing. Let me go ahead and just check this. And great. I appreciate you all being here right now. And now let me go ahead and so, yeah, thank you for coming. And so let's go ahead.